I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make the sting or something. Girl, you like my bottom, post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket, work around when I bust the down and shit. Them lanes get it out. I fix me with lips, basically your bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 AM club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, came and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready to that night up in the Marriott. Really got your cherry pop. Talking switching up position, thought the shit would never stop. Motherfucker in the mission gang.
Like money, what nigga take it, got swag out of this fuck. Now my daughter's passing, now what you make that nigga? I can double that the taxes on the way that on my level, not even up in my practice. I'm getting money, you don't see that shit every day.
When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. You run around town when I bust the down and my shit look them lanes did. It gotta get with my next mirror lips did. Basically your bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 AM club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes. When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make the sting or something. Girl, you like my bottom, post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket, run around town, I bust the down and my shit, them lanes did. It gotta get with my next mirror lips did. Basically your bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 AM club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, kick game and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready to that night up in the Marriott. Really got your cherry pop. Talking and switching up position, thought the shit would never stop. Motherfucker in the mission gang.
Like money, what nigga ain't laughing, take a swag out of this fuck. Now my daughter's passing, now what you make that nigga? I can double that the taxes on the way that on my level, not even up in my bracket. I'm getting money, you don't see that shit every day.
When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket, run around town when I bust the down and my shit look them lanes did. It gotta get with my next mirror lips did. Basically your bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 AM club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes. When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make the sting or something. Girl, you like my bottom, post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket, run around town when I bust the down and my shit, them lanes did. It gotta get with my next mirror lips did. Basically your bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 AM club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, kick game and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready you that night up in the Marriott. Still got your cherry pop. Drunk and switching up position. Thought this shit would never stop. Motherfucker in the mission.
Ain't like money, but nigga, I ain't laughing. Take a swig out of this 40. Then I'ma start to spaz. And I want to make a nigga. I can double that to taxes on the way down on my level. Not even up in my bracket. You on my I'm getting money, you don't see that shit every day.
When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I bust it down, then my shit look them names did. It got a kick with my next mirror lips did. Basically, if this bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 a.m. club was about to close up. Thumbing through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib with half a thing, probably make this thing or something. Girl, you like my bottom, yeah. Post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I bust it down, then my shit look them names did. It got a kick with my next mirror lips did. Basically, if this bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 a.m. club was about to close up. Thumbing through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, kick game and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready to that night up in the Marriott. Still got your cherry pop. Drunk and switching up position. Thought this shit would never stop. Motherfucker in the mission.
Ain't like money, but nigga, I ain't laughing. Take a swig out of this 40. Then I'ma start to spaz. And I want to make a nigga. I can double that to taxes on the way down on my level. Not even up in my bracket. You on my I'm getting money, you don't see that shit every day.
This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. I'm so glad that you've joined us here today on a Saturday afternoon, right before OMFL Season 88 playoffs kick off. I am your commission founder of the OMFL, Nate, and I'm going to welcome in two of my good friends here that have tended to join me in the last couple of seasons. We got Mr. Rob of the Cardinals and Mr. Bloop of the TFL and the Patriots here on the OMFL. Guys, how you doing today?
Saturday, it's a good day. Don't have to work.
Yeah, we skipped the morning show today, so I slept in till about 5 minutes before this one, so it's a good day.
Nice. That's a really good day when you can do stuff like that. Well, I'm glad that you guys are here with me. We're just going to jump right into it. Let's do a little fire drill action. Give me your favorite game from weeks 14, 15, 16, or 17?
Bloop, you want to go first?
No. Go ahead.
Everyone's
Well-
so proper today.
For me, it's week 17, just played last night, Steelers Miners. Tyler, Mr. Penguins, was able to come away with a pretty big win, 34-30. Season moved to 13-3 on the year. I want to say that puts them at the 2 seed in the AFC. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, if you look at the stats for that game, it was a shootout to start. I think Colin got up to 28 points within the first 3 quarters, and then Tyler mounted a comeback, stopped him on defense, and was able to squeak out a victory there at the end. Big victory for him. I think that's a monkey off his back in some sense.
Yeah, you were just talking about this team right before we started the broadcast, but this was kind of your preseason pick before we got rolling here.
Yeah, it's he's done good for me. So Tyler is really smart. If you give him time and just film to game plan, he's going to come up with a great scheme, and he makes life difficult if he really wants to win a game.
All right, Bloop, give me your favorite game, week 14 through 17.
All right, mine's week 16. When the Jets played against the Colts, the Jets wound up winning 24-22. This is a game where they actually got completely demolished on the ground, but looked like some turnovers were really the difference, because they allowed 360 rushing yards against, and that's a really good rushing defense in the Jets. But they wound up, forcing some turnovers by Cam Newton, and wound up winning the game. So this wound up clinching the AFC East for the Jets. I know they've been struggling a lot this year. It doesn't look like their offense is getting a whole lot better right now, but if they could come up with timely defense, they could be a threat. And it was just surprising to see D. Wayne, have probably one of his worst. I would say probably his worst passing game of the year. Cam Newton only went 12 for 27 with 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So yeah, but Naheem Hines still had 273 yards, so it's a little surprising that the Colts lost. But
stupid, right? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I know. And then, the other takeaway was I heard Le'Veon Bell is out for the season now after this game, so that does hurt the Jets, but they wound up winning and clinching the division and clinching their playoff spot in this game.
Yeah, 2 carries for -3 yards. I think I'd go ahead and call it a season too if I had stats like that. So it's just a crazy stat that the fact you gave up almost 300 yards rushing. The other team had the ball for 3 more minutes or 4 more minutes than you did, and you still somehow win the game. All right, let's talk about some of our partners here that we talk about every week. And as I complain about how bad this stupid Safari is on PlayStation, but we're going to talk about our friends over at Daddy Leagues. Poppy does such a great job over at Daddy Leagues. Of course, it is the only way to truly run a Madden League. It's where we get all of our stats. It comes in super handy for the off season, so players can look up different players in free agency. We can do a lot of trades. All of it kind of goes through the different stuff that we do over at Daddy League. So we could not do any of what we do without Daddy Leagues. And if you run a Madden League, you need to go over to Daddy Leagues and get you a page right now. Make sure that you support any of our threads and content that we put out over there. We're constantly posting, and there's lots of good stuff over at Daddy Leagues. All right, let's get into the AFC playoffs. Talk about how we think this is going to match up. I don't know if all the matchups are 100% secure and done yet, but let's go ahead and give our predictions all the way to who you think will be in the OMFL Bowl 88 for the AFC. And Bloop, we're going to start with you.
All right, so I'm pretty sure that the matchups are set now. I could be wrong about that. Maybe the Browns and the Steelers. Oh, no. Yeah, it should be all set
it looks
now.
like there's... Okay.
So the Colts and the Steelers are the number 1 and 2 seeds, right? The Browns, I guess, the Browns and Chiefs could switch up. Or no. I don't even know. Whatever. So yeah, I'm looking at this AFC. I've played most of these teams this season, or the last season at least. I think there's 2 teams that really stick out, and that is the Colts and the Steelers. Everyone else has really good teams, really explosive teams, but the Steelers and the Colts are probably my 2 favorites. As far as like, they have good defenses and good offenses, so that really helps them. I'm not sure what the matchups are going to be, so I can't really break down round by round, I guess, quite yet.
I think I can tell you. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. I don't know that this is going to be 100% secure, but let me tell you what Daddy Leagues is showing. I'm gonna look that up on my phone since it's going to be nearly impossible. Let's see if we can pull it up on here. I just think that it's going to be challenging to say the least. see if we can pull this up real quick and show everybody what Daddy Leagues is showing for the AFC standings, and then we can tell you what we think the matchups will be. Are you 100% sure that they're all set?
Yeah, all the teams are set. The only thing that might change is like who wins the AFC West.
Okay.
The AFC West, right?
Yeah.
Because they're tied with each other technically going to the week.
Oh, that's not what we want.
Actually, I believe the Chiefs have the AFC West no matter what. After the Miners lost last night, since the Chiefs and Miners split their season series, but the Chiefs have a 5-1 divisional record over the Miners 4-2. So if Chaotic somehow beats, not somehow, sorry, but if he beats,
we've seen some somehows happen in the last 2 weeks. So
yes, we have. But if the Browns are able to beat the Chiefs in Week 17, he would be the 3 seed. The Chiefs would still win the West. He would be the 4 seed, and the Miners would slide in at sorry. So the Browns really, if the only thing up for debate is 5-6. I'm just talking myself through a circle. If the Browns win, they're 5. Yep. If they lose, they're 6. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, you guys can kind of make your prediction if you think the Browns are going to win. But right now, we would have what would it be Kansas City versus Cleveland, and then the Jets versus the Miners, with Indianapolis being the 1 and Pittsburgh Steelers being the 2. Let's just play it out as if that's how it's going to play out, knowing that there may be a little bit of a flip-flop where the Browns go see the Jets and Kansas City plays the Miners. Personally, I want to see those 2 matchups because I think the 2 defenses between the Browns and the Jets would make a really fun game to watch. And then Kansas City and the Miners, those 2
that would be like
would be a blast.
That'd be like the Bama LSU title game.
Yeah. All right, let's give it some predictions. What we got? What we think is going to happen here?
Bloop, you want to go first, or?
Go ahead.
It's hard to pick the Browns in a game against the Miners. I believe they met earlier this season, and the Miners won that game 40-10. So, with that being said, you have to take the Miners if it's going to be Miners Browns. If it's Jets Browns, then that'd be a really good matchup, and I could see either of them winning. But for me, that one's you got to give the nod to Colin.
Yeah, for that game, for me too, I'd definitely go Miners, and I think that the Browns defense could really make things interesting, force turnovers and stuff, but I'm just not sure they're consistent enough on offense to be able to beat an explosive offense like the Miners right now.
Yeah, I think it would take a pick 6 or 2 for that to happen.
Yeah. And then,
I think I got to go the other way. If we're just going to break down each matchup, I think that I think if the Cleveland Browns can force the Miners into some tough throws, I think the Miners they're coming off of a pretty big loss against the Jets, I think, right, that we had talked about. So I actually like what Cleveland has done here recently. I still think that offense leaves a lot to be desired, but that defense can make some plays. I also believe that the Miners are one of the, if not the toughest team to face in the OMFL when it comes to offense because he's just so talented. He has so many really great weapons. I would take the Browns in that one just to be a little different than everybody else, but I think that would
before
be
you finalize that, Baker Mayfield is out for the year, so
that changes everything.
Yeah, I think he got injured last week, and it's hamstring tear. I think he could be back for the Super Bowl if he makes it that far, but going that far with your backup would be.
You just swayed me. Give me the Miners. Give me the Miners in that one. Let's talk about the Jets and Chiefs then.
No, that would be a great game.
Yeah.
Two different teams.
Two very different teams. Yeah. But if there's anyone that can shut out Tyreek Hill, it's Jason's user. So I'd still have to go Chiefs, but that would be a very good game, and I could easily see that going either way.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat there. I think I think Jason can definitely go against one-on-one with Tyreek Hill or Walters, depending on who he wants to shut down. But the Chiefs, they got that other receiver on the other side of the field that's going to get 2,000 yards. So, when you get two guys that could get 2,000 yards, you're pretty explosive. And
you can only use your one guy.
Yeah, and kind of similar to my thought on the Miners and Browns, I just think the Jets' offense isn't consistent enough, especially now Le'Veon Bell's gone. Sam Darnold hasn't had his best season by far, so I got to take the Chiefs. I think it'll be a really close game, though. I think maybe a field goal, but I just think the Chiefs have too many weapons for the Jets right now.
I can't argue that at all. I got to take the Chiefs as well. Way too many weapons to try to defend all at once. You've only got one user that you can actually have, and so I just think that without Le'Veon Bell, who hasn't had a spectacular season, but still a really good running back, Kansas City just has way too many weapons. I see this one maybe turning into a blowout. Now, what makes me hesitate is some of the crazy finishes that we've seen the last 2 weeks with. I'm telling you my personal point of view. I think the Falcons gave the Panthers a win. I do not believe that, and no one could even talk me into that the Panthers won that one straight up. I don't care what anybody says. And then we've seen the Colts, right? They dropped a game, and the Miners dropped a game. So we've seen some pretty shocking games here in the last couple of weeks. So that makes me hesitate, but I'm with you guys. I think the Chiefs just have too much firepower. So that would set up the Kansas City Chiefs going to see the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miners going to see the Indianapolis Colts. And Rob, you've been on the Pittsburgh Steeler bandwagon the entire year. I know Penguins is here in chat, so I'm going to throw it to you first. Let's break down the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Miners.
Yeah, so they actually played, I want to say, either week 15 or 16. And that, let's see, I'm going to pull that up before I say anything.
This is a fun matchup, by the way, no matter what.
Yeah, week 15, Steelers 41, Chiefs 14. It's hard to, I'm sure it will be closer next game around, but it is hard to pick against Tyler when he just beat him by 17 a couple weeks ago, or 27 a couple weeks ago. So, like I said earlier, if you give Tyler some time and some film to game plan and scheme, he's capable of beating anyone in this league, maybe outside of D-Money, but it is what it is. He took it to him 2 weeks ago, and even if he's without Tariq Cohen, it's hard to see one guy making a 27-point swing.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm on board with that one too. I think the Steelers' defense. Last week we talked, Nate, about who would we take defense-wise, or Colts offense versus Falcons defense, and I took the Falcons defense, but I think the Steelers defense is like a close number 2 in
right
the league.
Up there.
D. Wayne was talking with me about this yesterday. He has like 5 X Factor players, I think, on his defense.
D. Wayne gave him one of them, so
yeah, and I gave him another one, so Stephon Gilmore is a guy that can. I've known this from the experience. He can shut down Tyreek Hill by himself without you usering. So that's a huge advantage. And yeah, I just think they got too much on defense, and they're also way too explosive on offense to lose this game. I think the Steelers are one of the best teams in the league for sure.
Yep, that's why I got to disagree with you guys. Not really disagree. Look, Kansas City, I think, has had a super up and down season. How do you say that when they're 11-4? But they've had some games where they've been completely manhandled. They did not look good early, and then they've had some games where their offense just explodes and they put up a ton of points. I think when you get into the playoffs, though, you got to play really good defense, and you're going to be matched up against some really great defense. I'm still super jealous that Penguin still has Golf. I tried so hard to get him both from the Rams and then again from Penguins, and just could never make anything happen. I think this is going to be a complete blowout. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think it'll be flip a coin. I think Kansas City may jump up early. They're going to start turning the ball over. I think Goff and that offense will control the clock and put up a lot of points themselves. I see Pittsburgh rolling after maybe a tight first quarter or so, and then getting away with it in the second half. So then that brings us to the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Miners, right? And so, because that was kind of all of our pick. And so if the Miners are going to go see the Colts, how do you see that one playing out? Again, another defense versus a really good offense.
Well, for me, I got the Colts in this one. I think they've played numerous times over the last 3 seasons. I think, Colin really gets up for these games, so I think he's going to play well. But I think Dwayne with his not just his offense, because his offense is extremely efficient, explosive running game and stuff, but also his defense is underrated as well. And I've played him recently, and they defend the roads that Colin likes pretty well. So I got the Colts. I think it's going to be a fairly close game. I think it'll be closer than the Steelers and Chiefs. I think it'll be like maybe a touchdown, maybe 10 points difference, but that's still a game that comes down to the wire. I think Dwayne's team is just overall top to bottom one of the best, and as long as he can throw the ball well with Cam Newton, he'll be tough to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was an idiot and had my mic muted, but this is a matchup. This is a matchup that we've seen quite a few times over the last couple seasons. It's one that's gone Dwayne's way in the last couple of years. I think they played in week 13 or something like that this year, and Dwayne won 41-21. They played last year in the playoffs, and it was about the same. It's what you're going to get from these teams. They're going to put up pretty good offensive stats. Dwayne can lock down when he wants to, and Colin, if he can win this game, but you can't turn the ball over against Dwayne. You have to play a perfect game, and I don't know if Colin has that in him. It's just that there's a reason Dwayne's been to like 6 of the last 7 Super Bowls.
Yep, can't really argue that, but I'm going to call back this season. I think it was 86. Or maybe, it had to be 85 or 86. Yeah, where the Miners upset the Colts. And so I don't like the Cam Newton, threw 2 picks, and their running back ran for 755 yards against the Jets, and they still somehow lost that game. Like, that makes me a little bit nervous, but the Miners have a lot of firepower. I think if they get through a really tough matchup in that round 1, that could really prepare them for the Colts, whereas the Colts are just kind of sitting and waiting. And so I actually am going to call the upset. I think the Miners might get back into the AFC Championship game here, and they just have so much firepower. I think it will be the tell of 2 quarterbacks, right? Cam Newton versus Jackson. Which one of those guys don't turn the ball over and are more efficient?
Yep.
Yeah, and I can easily see that happening. The Miners are a team that it's really hard to come back and beat them when you're behind. You got Joey Bosa, who had like 320 sacks, and you have a great secondary. It's a hard team to throw on. But when you look at Dwayne, what does he do best? Run the ball. So
Yeah.
But if he gets out early, or if he gets out ahead early, I can easily see Colin winning this game.
No,
Yeah.
it's hard to argue that. All right, so that's going to set up for both of you the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, and for me, it would be the Colts hosting. No, it would be the Steelers hosting the Miners. So, how do you guys see a Colts Steelers matchup? Really, a tell between two of the better teams in this league. I know that the Colts get a lot of the accolades, but Steelers have been there ever since we started Madden 20.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the Steelers train. I've been on it from the start of the year, so I'm going to ride it all the way through. The Steelers are an amazing defense, and I think that this is a great matchup that sets up really well for Tyler. Wouldn't it be fitting if Darius Leonard made some play at the very end of the game to come back and bite him?
The Colts would just die.
I'm going to go 28-24 Steelers with that said.
Yeah, I'm on the Steelers wagon too. I just think I think one thing about Dwayne is when he knows that another team's really good, probably a little bit better talent-wise than him, he's fully aware of it, so I think he'll put up a good fight. He'll run the ball fairly well, but I think that Steelers defense is just hard to run the ball on as well. So I think that the defense will make the big difference. And they're not going to allow. I think Dwayne said he got an injury to Paris Campbell, who's one of his top receivers. With Stephon Gilmore back there, I don't think, and Darius Leonard covering and stuff, I don't think there's going to be a
freakishly athletic defense.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be really tough for Dwayne to move the ball like he does, especially running, but also in the pass game. I think the Steelers' offense is also really good. Tariq Cohen being out definitely doesn't help him, but he can replace that production. And I think, relatively speaking, for what we've just been talking about, like all these explosive offenses in the AFC, this will be a low-scoring game. I think maybe like a 24-21 kind of game where the Steelers' defense just kind of dominates and makes life tough on Dwayne, and they wind up winning. The Steelers will wind up winning.
No.
I don't know why my mic went out. Doesn't make sense why this mic goes out, but now they can hear me. Sorry. I was just saying that I don't watch a lot of Dwayne's games just because of PTSD that I get from all the times that we played. But Hines is just a really stupid player, and again,
the laws of physics don't apply to Naheem Hines.
Makes no sense at all. Look, I hate the guy so much. I almost tripped him at the Saints Colts real life game that I was at. But again, I play the Falcons every single season, twice a season. Hate them, but the Miners still have the best offense I've ever seen. 2 X factor receivers, a quarterback that can make all the plays. So I think this would be a really fun matchup. I have to jump on the Steelers bandwagon myself. I think that they are going to go all the way to OMFL Bowl number 88. I think that they have all the tools. I think this, again, will be a tale of 2 quarterbacks. Can Goff not turn the ball over, and can they force Jackson into a couple of turnovers? I do think that if you're patient, Jackson will give you a couple turnovers. He'll give you a couple interceptions, maybe a fumble or two. I see that happening in this game. I see it being a tight game. Either one of these matchups, if it's Steelers-Colts, Miners-Steelers like I've called it, I think we're talking about a game that in the last 2 minutes of the game, it's going to matter, and we're going to see a team have to make a play to win that game. So I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in OMFL Bowl number 88. I know that Rob's taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in OMFL Bowl 88, and then Bloop, you're taking the Colts, right? I got that right, didn't I?
No, I'm taking the Steelers as well.
So all three of us are taking the Steelers, and D. Wayne is going to hate every single one of us as he is watching this one now. Let's move over to the NFC.
He can cry over his 6 AFC championships.
Is 20 straight, OMFL bowls that he's been in. Let's move over to the NFC. But before we do it, we're going to talk about LeagueCrawler.com. Our buddy, I'm on this. I forgot. Let me just scoot over one. Let's talk about our buddy Matt over at LeagueCrawler.com. You need to go over there right away and start you a profile. Make sure that you give yourselves all your information on League Crawler, because leagues and owners can look you up. Make sure that any league that you play here in the Grown Folks online community, that you definitely give them a rating. I don't know why Safari is giving me a blank sheet here. I'm trying to get it to refresh. I know you guys can't see this, but Matt over at LeagueCrawler.com is just one of the best guys that we have here in the Madden community, and we want to make sure that we're supporting everything that they do. If you're into watching a lot of content, you like watching Madden games, you like watching different shows from different leagues, or you just want to watch some Madden football, go over to LeagueCrawler.com, and you can see they have LeagueCrawler.tv. There's always something that's going to be on their TV. They have a schedule with a lot of leagues that participate, so it is a really great thing that they're doing, and we want to make sure that we support all that Matt's doing over at LeagueCrawler.com. Now, let's get back over to the NFC playoffs, which I think are 100% set. We exactly know what those matchups are going to look like, and thank God my season is over. If I had to play one more Madden game, you guys would have a new leader here in Grown Folks, a new leader in the OMFL, because I definitely would not have survived it, and I would have retired and walked away. That still is a possibility. So
you can
if
go
all of a
ahead
sudden
and
you're
take
like,
the money for that.
If you're like, where did Nate go? Like, what's up? What happened? You guys know, and don't come looking for me because I will not be found. We got the Atlanta Falcons at 13-3. Of course, that big number 3 after giving a free win over to the Carolina Panthers. So congratulations to the Carolina for sneaking in there and getting a free win from the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle Seahawks 12-4, going to be the number 2 seed. Chicago Bears 11-5, number 3. Dallas Cowboys 11-5, number 4. Maniac only seems to have something to say whenever he's freaking poking bears and trying to upset people. I don't know why he gets his jollies off on doing that. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Cooley 12-4, and then the Carolina Panthers at 10-6. I'm surprised that we haven't heard more from Mr. Big Hurt. I mean, he has been carrying this banner about beating the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Falcons giving him a free one. And matter of fact, I think because of the CPU game, the Panthers actually swept the Falcons. So 2 of the 3 losses are from the Carolina Panthers. So he should feel really good about himself. Way to go, Big Hurt. But let's break down some of these matchups. We got the Chicago Bears are going to host the Carolina Panthers, and the Dallas Cowboys are going to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rob, I'm going to throw it to you to break this one down.
Wait, what was the matchup one more time? Sorry. Make sure.
It's good. Let's start with the Bears and Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, that would be a really good game. That's if Roland Stanton were healthy, bless him, this would be a great game on the ground. Hurt has played some really good football this season. It's kind of surprising. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for him, but he's definitely exceeded my expectations. And with that said, I think I have to go. Fair.
He's an 8-8 team if the Falcons actually play those 2 games.
You're probably right, but Smash just...
Hey, Smash said he was going to be below 8-8, and I called BS on that in the offseason.
11-5.
I mean, when I played him earlier this season, Smash struggled to move the ball just because of Mr. Brisket. he's another team that's built to play with the lead. If he can get an early lead, if he can jump out 10, get a 10-0 lead, 13, 14-0, he can beat just about anyone. But it's for him, scoring 13, 14 points in one half is difficult just because of, like, you're having to ask a guy that's probably a lot like Teddy Bridgewater to carry your team.
Even the police are upset about Carolina's 2 free wins.
Yeah, my bad. Something's happening here in uptown Dallas. So,
so who are you calling on this one? Who you taking in this matchup?
I'm still going to ride the Panthers.
Yeah. Bloop, what do you see this game breaking down to?
Yeah, this is a classic game, old school like football game where you've got 2 running teams. I think the Panthers' running offense has really come around. That's been the main reason why they've turned their season around. I played them recently, and they had like 300 yards on the ground combined between Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey. I think the Bears, without Stanton, are in tough, but I do think their defense can hold up against the run. If I got to pick a team here, I think the Panthers are going to win. I think it'll be really close, really low scoring, and just complete opposite of the AFC games where we're probably gonna have like lots of 40-point games. I think this one's gonna be like in the teens for both sides.
No, I agree. I think this would be a defensive matchup. I think if Bears have their running back right, this is a completely different game. Carolina, I do think is hot and cold, and we're just trying to be entertaining on the show and give people a hard time, even though they did get a free win, 2 free wins. But I think Carolina can walk away with a victory here, but it would not surprise me if the Bears win. They're at home. They have a great defense. This quarterback for the Carolina Panthers will turn the ball over and cause a couple of interceptions, which can come back and haunt them. I just think what you guys said is true, that without Stanton, the Bears really lack any type of offensive identity, and so it really weighs all on their defense, and that's really hard when you have these really great receivers and running backs for the Carolina Panthers, and a pretty good quarterback, just one that tends to turn the ball over sometimes. So I, too, would take the Carolina Panthers to win this one. Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys hosting Cooley and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sir Blitz-a-Lot. How do you see this one breaking down? This will be a fun matchup between 2 teams who like to really attack each other the same way. This will be a fun one to be able to watch.
Yeah, and Cooley has a pretty good knowledge of the Cowboys team, since that's who he is in the TFL, and that's who he follows in real life, I believe.
Yep.
Poor guy.
No, he deserves it.
They actually played Week 16, and the Cowboys won that game 23-21. But Cooley is a guy; it's hard to beat him twice. He's really good. He's sound.
Yeah,
when he doesn't turn the ball over. You might beat him once, but it's hard to beat a good team twice. So the score was 23-21 in Week 16. I'm going to go 24-21 Bucks.
Yeah, I think this is a really good matchup. I think both teams kind of, like you say, Nate, play a similar style. Cooley's defense probably not the most sound defense in the league, passing-wise. I think the Cowboys could take advantage of that if they want to, but
he looked great against Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, yeah, sometimes you get lightning in a ball, I guess. But the big thing is, I think Cooley is way overrated. No.
Ooh.
Just call him trash.
Yeah, I just destroyed him in TFL the other day, so he is trash. I think, but my real opinion is that Jameis is erratic sometimes, a little bit more erratic than Dak is, and I think that's going to be the difference. I think the Cowboys' defense has a lot of playmakers on it, and if Jameis isn't on his game, he's going to throw one of those ducks that like quarterbacks randomly throw. It's not even going to be, might not even be like a bad read by Cooley, but it'll just be a bad play that turns the game over, turns into a turnover that turns the game around. And I think you're going to see the Cowboys win this one.
Yeah, and if Zeke gets 25 touches, like I think he will, it's a hard game. It's a hard team to stop. But so if Maniac keeps the ball on the ground, doesn't turn the ball over, I do think Maniac wins. But Cooley plays a good brand of ball. It's hard to beat him when he's on his game. He's got a good offense.
Yep.
It's tell of two defenses to me, tell of two running backs to me. It depends on what the running backs can do in this game. I think the quarterbacks will kind of be an afterthought for both of these teams. McCooley, I think, mixes it up really well, but both run the ball really well, and both can play really good defense. I think both, though, are just a little bit of a crapshoot. Like they're not 100% consistent, but I think we've seen.
You don't know what team
we've seen enough consistent, 100%, but we've seen enough consistency that I think I do think that. Oh man, this is a tough one. I think this is a coin flip game. It would not surprise me about who wins this game. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys only because they're at home.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a underrated match point that you bring up there. Is they're the home teams, and that matters more than lots of people like to think.
I think this is going to be a really great game. So I'm taking Dallas. Who are you two both taking?
I got Dallas.
Bucks.
All right, so we got
but
Dallas, and
we all had it close, I think.
Yeah. This would be a field goal game. Overtime game would not surprise me.
Yep.
So that's going to set up the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Carolina Panthers, which we all agree, and then the Seattle Seahawks hosting either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Dallas Cowboys, depending on which one that you pick. Let's go ahead and talk about the Atlanta Falcons versus Carolina. I wonder if D-Money is willing to give another free win here.
It's hard to beat a great team 3 times. So,
oh boy, it's so difficult.
You can't pick against D-Money in the playoffs. Week 17, when he has nothing to lose, that's one thing. But I mean, let's call it what it is. D-Money is the 5-time, 6-time reigning champ, whatever it is now. I don't think this game's close. I think Big Hurt's been asking for D-Money. He's going to get D-Money, and he's not going to like it. He's not going to like it.
He's going to get without lube.
The Hurt's going to be looking for a new team after next season.
Yeah, it's going to be hurting.
Bloop.
I really want to take the Panthers because I do think that, like, if there's any formula, it's the running game to beat the Falcons, and I do think that's.
You done lost your damn mind.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they got Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. That's like the best running game in the league, but I can't do that. I can't take the Panthers in the playoffs. The Falcons are gonna win. I think it's gonna be fairly close, like 2 touchdowns, I guess, is considered close when you play the Falcons.
For D-Money, that's close.
That's
fair. I'm thinking like a 28-14 kind of game. I think, and I think the Falcons are just gonna. I think, especially coming in the playoffs, I think the Falcons are gonna focus a little harder, do whatever they got to do, and they're gonna just come out and beat the Falcons.
Yeah, this game isn't close. I think Big Hurt's going to find out what the Falcons really are without these free wins that he was gifted. This game's going to be a blowout from the get-go. Until someone does it, I don't see anyone actually beating the Falcons for real. My honest opinion, and this is not being entertaining, this is just my opinion, and it matters almost zero. I think the Falcons he did it whenever he tanked that season. He has a way of like making it look close, but purposely losing. And I think that's what happened against Carolina. It's like his way of showing that like he's beatable and he's not cheating or anything. And I don't think he's.
But it's all just a facade.
I think it's 100% a facade, and I think Big Hurt's going to get his stuff pushed in, and we'll be crying foul after this one's over because he's going to find out what the Atlanta Falcons are really about. That sets up the Seattle Seahawks hosting either the Dallas Cowboys or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bloop, I'm going to give you the first shot. Not Cooley, Rob, because you picked the Bucs. I'm going to give you first shot at this one, Seattle and Tampa Bay.
This is a defense in Seattle that I'm intimately familiar with for all the wrong reasons.
It's not fun, is it?
No.
I used to be the Cardinals too.
These guys have made a career.
You see where I'm at now.
Yeah. These guys have made a career out of playing against me, so I don't. The only person I see Mo losing to when he's on his game is D-Money. So I think Mo, this will be a close game, but it's Cooley, I think, plays a great game, but it's Mo. I mean, this is an insanely talented team. If you go up and down that roster, it's stocked with superstars. Like, it's not fun to play. You can't pass on it. There's guys that like warp and knock the ball out of your receiver's hands. If you fall behind against this team, and you normally do because his defense is insane, you're going to lose.
All right, Bloop, your turn. Seattle and Dallas.
Yeah, I think kind of hitting on the same points about the Seahawks. I think they're gonna force lots of turnovers. That cornerback he has, I can't remember his name right now, but he's probably the best in the league.
Gardner, Jacoby Gardner.
Yeah, he's probably the best in the league. Other than he may even be better than Pyle at this point because he gets more picks and people throw to him more. I think he had like 19
Minnesota's
picks
pretty
season.
good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's really good as well.
I think Gardner's the best because it's like
he just gets
like you
picks,
said,
like whatever reason.
Well, on the other side of the ball is Shaquille Griffin, and it's like you pick your poison. Both of them are insanely stupid talented.
I played the Falcons twice every season. Those two guys are stupid, just as good.
Yeah, they are. But so I think that's going to be the big difference is turnovers. I think they're going to force quite a few. You know, Dallas will put up a fight early on, but I think just they're not going to be able to score enough to keep up to the Seahawks. And if they try to, they're going to turn the ball over. So I got the Seahawks in this one. It'll be close in the first half, but then second half the Seahawks will pull away.
I agree with you. I think that, look, going back because Cooley said thanks for all the love. I think that's going to be a great game, Cooley, and it will not shock me if you win that game. I just coin flip. I got to take Dallas because they're at home. So I think Dallas is going to try to run the ball. They're not going to get that done against Seattle. And then Maniac has a bad habit, a lot of us, of getting in your own head and trying to force some plays, getting angry. And if you play angry against the Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons,
end well.
Colts, Steelers, the Bucks, any of these really, really good teams, it ends very badly. And you start pushing things and you get in your own head and things start to snowball on you. So I do think Seattle's going to run away with this one. I think Dallas will keep it close for about 3 quarters. I think a couple of things will unravel. And then before you know it, Seattle will put up 21 on you in a blink of an eye. And he's got Wilson that can still run around and make plays, a really good running game. This will be a fun game, but I do think that Seattle runs away with it late. So I think we're all saying the same thing. We think this is going to be a Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons NFC Championship. So let's go ahead and talk about it. What do we see happening in this game?
Atlanta wins.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mo is basically at the point with me where I say uncle at the end of each game, but, like, it's D-Money. You can't pick against him. You pick D-Money until he loses, and he hasn't done that yet.
He's the Alabama of the OMFL.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I think Mo actually matches up pretty well against the Falcons. Like he has a decent pass attack, good run game. I think he actually has a better pass attack than run game this season with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But the Falcons are just too deep, especially in the secondary. They're not going to allow a whole lot of those big plays. And then even though I just said that the Seahawks defense is amazing, I don't think the Falcons are going to make more than maybe one mistake against them. And they're just going to keep coming at you. And
have you seen
points.
That Seahawks defense, though? It's like it's right on par with the Falcons.
Oh, yeah, it's really
his top
good.
2 corners are both X Factor. And
yeah. I know they're good, but my thing is with the Falcons is just D-Money doesn't make that many mistakes. Like, his mistakes are throwing the ball 50 yards down the field and you get a tip interception. Like, he's not going to turn the ball over more than maybe once, maybe twice. I think it's going to be a close game, but D-Money is just going to wind up scoring enough to
I see this being like 28-24 Falcons would be my score guess.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly close too. I just think the Falcons are just a little bit higher end as far as finishing and turnovers and stuff.
Yeah, I think Mo has closed the gap from where we saw it even last year. Whenever,
Oh, definitely. I think Mo has a great team. I think Mo has probably one of my favorite teams on paper in the league, but it's just D-Money's D-Money.
hmm
Yeah, I'm going Atlanta Falcons. I don't think this one's close until someone makes it close or someone actually beats him. I just don't see anyone being able to do it. Look, everybody knows, or Mo knows, how much I think about him. I used to beat the Cardinals, and we had some really great games. And last year, I got super lucky and upset him in the playoffs. But Falcons are the Falcons, man. And you're giving up 5 to 7 yards a run, and then Matt Ryan's going 14 for 15 for 300 yards on you, and Julio's catching balls over three people's heads, and then the defense is just freaking making all kinds of crazy plays because even if you get him to bite up with his safety, you try to burn him over the top and he recovers. And it's just, yeah, the Falcons have all the tools, and he's one of those guys that seems to call every play perfectly in the right time. And so, yeah, I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons as well. So for me, I think that for all of us, it sets up Pittsburgh Steelers and Atlanta Falcons for OMFL Bowl 88. Do I have that right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was my prediction to start the year too.
All right. Well, let's talk about one of our last partners over at Soden Bowl, SodenBowl.com. He and I had some banter back and forth. You've seen a lot of content come out for him. He, too, has been really, really busy, and so I think that's why we were missing some content from them. But make sure you go support our Xbox One partners. They run a really great Madden League. If you have an Xbox One and you're looking to play in a Madden League, make sure that you hit them up. And if you're checking us out for the first time and are part of the Xbox One community, make sure you go check them out. Follow them on Twitter and YouTube. Check out their website. Lots of really, really great content. We appreciate our friends Soden and everyone over at SodenBowl.com. All right, let's move to our last thing, and that's to talk about OMFL Bowl number 88, and that's going to set us up for the Falcons and Steelers. Not a matchup that I was thinking we were going to see. I know that Rob called this one early on. So, Rob, since you called it, go ahead and tell us who's going to win this one.
This is where I get off the bus. It's
the bus stopped.
The bus stops here. I do think Tyler gives D Money probably the closest game that he's played in a while. The closest game that actually matters. But you pick D Money until that stops winning. It's that team is just on another level. He's the best user I've ever seen in this game. I got Falcons 35-24.
Well, I kind of alluded to my pick last night where I was talking about Tyler being a complete psychopath about these kinds of things. He's super competitive. We used to play LGHL together back when I still played, and now he's retired as well. But, he's intense. When we were in OMFL 2, he won like 4 Super Bowls in a row. Cause
intense is being nice.
All over me.
He is, he's super, he's a psychopath. Yeah. And I think
a little healthy competition.
Yeah, I think if he gets to here, he may stay up for 48 hours watching film, breaking down everything that D Money does, and I think we're gonna see the surprise. I think the Steelers will win. That defense is set up to do it, thanks to my giving him Stephon Gilmore. But I think Tyler he's not gonna settle for second place this season. His team's never going to be better than it is right now, so I think this is his time. I think D-Money's team is really good, but I just don't think he has quite the drive that Tyler does at this point.
Yeah, that's valid.
I think you can stay up all night if you want. You stay up a whole week and watch every film that you want. I think you could have D-Money call you and tell you what plays he's running. You could watch the stream. You could sit right next to him and watch his controller until someone beats him. I just don't see it happening. I think the world of Penguins. I think that, look, there was definitely a time early on where none of us like to lose. I think that's my disclaimer. No one enjoys losing. I think losing gets to all of us at some point, which is why I respect some people like Crazy, right, who struggle, people like Rob who've struggled with a new team, right, and who still play and don't see a lot of content from those teams, but they're still here and they still get their games in and they still do it with a pretty good attitude. But I think some of us, sometimes me included, recently me included, but I think there's some people they have to win, and if they don't win, they'll quit. And whether they're winning or losing affects whether they like or don't like this game. And I think the one thing about Penguins is he hasn't liked Madden 20 almost since the day it dropped, and yet he almost left. And I take some pride in that he stayed and he figured it out and he built that team to win. He's just up against the best player we've ever seen in the OMFL, and to the day that, either God or life takes him out of this league. He's here and he's a juggernaut to try to figure out. Now, I will say the minors figured him out a couple of seasons ago, so it's not impossible. You get a couple turnovers or a free win, and maybe you have an opportunity. But I think the Steelers have the defense to keep it close. Because I don't think the Falcons' offense is that much of a juggernaut, but can the Steelers' offense not turn the ball over and not give so many opportunities? Because you make one late throw, it's a pick six. You make one late read, and it's a fumble six. It's just,
and it may not even be that. It could be like you just don't have you have an average wide receiver up against Desmond Trufant. Yep. And he knocks the ball up in the air, and and he gets tipped, and someone takes it back for 6, and that's game. So,
yep, I agree with you. I think that the Falcons are going to roll in this one, and hopefully the Steelers can keep it close. But until somebody keeps it close with him, I got to keep picking the Atlanta Falcons from here on out. And I'm just going to get a direct deposit of trophies straight to his house delivered every season. So I'm challenging him. One of you guys gotta beat this guy and stop him from winning all the championships here. All right, let's talk about our last friend over Shopmaster.com. Shopmaster, I haven't heard from him in quite a bit. Haven't even seen some of his content. So hopefully he's just been busy. But Shop is one of the nicer guys in the community. He does a lot of 2K and Madden content, so go check out his website, give him a follow on Twitter and YouTube, and make sure that you support everything that Shop does over at shopmaster.com. All right, 2 quick questions on our mailbag. Denbrew, who is in the chat, says, thanks for the Vine. I don't know what that means. It says, I would like to take on your X Factors. Do you feel that X Factors have had a positive impact on the OMFL? I think positive being the key word here that he is trying to seek for. So, Bloop, as a commissioner, I'm going to throw this one at you first. I just want to hear your thoughts. And Rob, is somebody who's on a lot of boards and I think ran some leagues yourself. I know that you're pretty passionate about some thoughts here. So, fellas, what do we think about X Factors here in the OMFL?
I think the idea of X Factors are pretty good. I just don't like the typical EA with their first year of implementing things. I'm not an EA hater at all. I just think
I know where this is going.
Well, I just think that the way they've done it has just been a little bit off. I think I think if they would have done hidden upgrades during the season, you don't know when you're getting an upgrade, it would be a lot better. I think, and then I think they're a little bit overpowered. A guy gets into the zone and he's a pass rusher, he's going to get 4 sacks almost immediately every game, and then you see guys just suddenly they get 2 sacks to get there, they get 4 sacks when they're in their zone, they leave the zone for a bit, then they get back in the zone later in the game, and suddenly you have a guy with 9 sacks in the game. It's just a little too crazy right now. But I think the big thing for me is the gameplay part of it, where you get a chance to get an upgrade. Guy gets 200 yards or 3 touchdowns, and you see guys just force feeding one player, and I just don't think it fits well in these leagues. But I like the idea. It makes guys definitely a lot more unique. Makes players, if they don't even have necessarily a high overall, like say Chase Winovich, he got an X Factor at 77 overall, I think, and so he's a beast now. And he's not. He's crazy. He's still only 80 overall at this point, and he has 20 sacks, right? It's a good idea. I like it. I hope they expand on it and improve it next year. But right now, I just don't think their formula is as good as it should be.
Yeah, it's like remember like growing up, going to your grandma's house on like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and you want like you just want like a spoonful of mashed potatoes. You ask for mashed potatoes and they give you like an entire bowl. It's kind of like what EA does, and
Yeah.
like you want like guys to stand out if they're really good. Oh, okay, no, they're actually gonna like take over the entire game no matter what, like, and nothing else matters.
Yeah, it's built
like,
for Hut, right? Or Mutt.
Yeah. And it like that's just what like what goes through my mind when I think about like Joey Bosa getting 54 freaking sacks. It's just a little too much right now.
Yeah, in TFL we had a guy get 62 sacks, I think, and he got sat week 17.
Khalil Mack,
Like,
yeah.
He never even played. So we completely neutered some of the top pass rushers in our league, but there's still guys on pace for 30 sacks, which is a lot better.
A lot more on par with I guess what's expected in reality.
Yeah.
NFL record's like 24, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got nothing really to add. I feel exactly how you both feel to the T, and so I won't add anything there. I'll say a couple of different things. Number one, this is what I scream from the mountaintop, and why the OMFL is the way the OMFL is. You cannot simulate what you see in real life in Madden. Those two things do not go together. They relate to each other in a lot of ways, but they don't go together. And when we talk about sack numbers, which is actually the next question from Cincyberg, do you think sack numbers are high? I'll say, Guy, I'm going to go in a little bit of a rage here, but so just be patient with me. Number one, D-Money's in the chat talking about 20 sacks. It's only halfway to the leader. I got to call you out a little bit on that, D-Wayne, because I have offered, and Rob will back me up on this, and Rob, got to call you out a little bit as well. But like, let me make sure my mic's still working. I offered the board. I said that they were too high. We need to figure out maybe, upping the pass block numbers a little bit. And I was told, leave it alone. Everyone agrees, leave it alone.
The thing is, it's like nobody outside of the X Factors gets sacks. Chandler Jones literally just got his first double-digit sack season. And
No, that's true. But in real life, a double-digit sack season's a really good. That's a Pro Bowl season for most guys.
Chandler Jones just got like 18 sacks this year, but it's like if you don't have an X factor, if you don't have like a freak, then they just don't do anything. So
I think we're all saying the same thing. But I will say that I tried to stay on the mountaintop to say that sack numbers are a little crazy. But here's the thing. If we did adjust them, if we ever do adjust them, it's a hair trigger, because you go from now you've got 50, 60 sack players to you got, maybe the numbers are realistic. You got 20 to 30 sack players, but you also have like all the time in the world. So guys like, I'm just picking a name out of the hat because I know he's complaining about him, but Jackson for the Miners, right? He's got all day to sit back there and throw. Now he's throwing for 4,500 yards every season, right? And so that's why the game doesn't translate to what we see in the real NFL, because the fact the real NFL, you only got a couple of seconds to get it out of there, but NFL quarterbacks get it out. They check it down, they get it out, they throw it away, they run, right? Like they get rid of the ball.
You've got guys
in the OMFL, we don't.
Yeah,
right?
You got guys here that love to run wheeler routes with their tight ends.
Yeah. Here's my biggest complaint because I agree with everything you both said. I think the only complaint I have is that when you have an X factor forced up against a really good player, that really good player for whatever reason gets dumbed down. So I have like a 90 or 91 overall right tackle in Ramczyk, and I've faced a couple different X factors. One the other day, I can't even remember who it is. It was a player I didn't even recognize, but evidently he's a really good like rookie drafted player a couple of years ago, second year player or something. I can't even remember who he played for now. It's driving me insane. But I gave up like 6 sacks to him, and I have a 91 overall right tackle. Like those things shouldn't go together, right? Like, yeah, I'm all for X factor players and making an impact, but there should be some correlation to like he's facing a really great player on the other side of the ball. The Ramczyk in real life gave up, I think, 3 sacks in his first 2 seasons. He's not going to give up 7, 8 sacks. And I wasn't holding on the ball long. It was like snap, animation of a drop back, and before the It keeps going out. My bad. I don't know why it keeps going out. I'm back there. I forgot exactly. If it's got a hair trigger, 1 or 2 points that we can play with there, and if we mess with that much at all, it's gonna go completely haywire, and we'll start having guys that have 5 and 6 seconds all day. Now, I don't know about either one of you guys, but I have no interest in playing against the Falcons, where Matt Ryan has 6 seconds to throw the ball.
Yeah. I wish that there were some sort of like gauge where you can control how effective like abilities are.
I agree. And I think that there's also this thing that I've seen happen where, like, I have an X factor, and there's some games where Jordan has 3, 4, 5 sacks, and there's like 3 or 4 games where he has nothing. And then there's some games where these like left ends that come off the side in a 3-4 who are like 65 overall get to your running back and your quarterback in half a second, unblocked, untouched, and like that kind of stuff drives me insane as well.
Yeah, it's just a weird situation right now. It's not meant for long term. Like the whole abilities.
That's created for mud.
Yeah, it's created for mud. It's created for one
It
game
has
situations,
potential.
right? Yeah,
There's some potential there. It just,
yeah.
like you guys said, it needs work. It needs more.
It
Yeah,
just needs
you can
to be dumbed down a little bit, right? Like
you can tell that they like if they tested this in a franchise, it was for one season.
Yep.
It's
Yeah. My solution for any X Factor is you get X Factor, your guy's in like his fire mode, and it works for like 1 or 2 plays, and then it's done. It's not like.
And I
right
think
now,
that's why Cam Jordan is so, because Cam Jordan's X factor is if I give up 10 yards, I'm out of it. And so Cam gets in it and then immediately is right back out of it. I don't think everyone's is like that. Like, it's much harder to get them out.
Some of them are 20 yards, some of them are.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey's is 30.
Yeah,
That's
so
stupid.
so it's inconsistent. But I think if it was just like 1 or 2 plays where a guy's gonna take over a game, like in the big situation or something, kind of like how the old clutch factor used to be back in like Madden 13. I think then it would be a lot more effective for a league like ours. I think, I think just having like unlimited, like when Khalil Mack was destroying TFL, he was like pretty much half the game in his X Factor, and he was just dummying players, and he had good run defense on the other side, so you could almost never get. I think he was 20 yards. The opponent could almost never get him out of his X Factor at that point, and
so hard.
So he just plays like half the snaps in his X Factor. He's getting 9 sacks a game. That's the issue. Is like he could just keep or same with Joey Bosa here or Breland Speaks, like the top guys. They could just keep going, and just that's the part that sucks about it. And same with like even like the superstar abilities. Like some of these guys have like really good route running because of their superstar ability, or halfbacks can cut faster or whatever. If it wasn't every single play and it was just like big moments, I think it'd be a lot better for a CFM.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to add this in as well. Penguins has been working on an idea around X Factors where the league itself would take over what happens. And so if you earn an X Factor in season, you would keep it that season, but would take it back away in the off season. And there would be he's working on it. There's a lot that has went on to it. I don't know if it's going to be ready to test for this new season, but I know he's been working on it. He felt like he was pretty close, and so it has some potential, and hopefully will be something that we can roll out to everybody here really soon, because I know that he's been.
If I can, I'll just mention what we did in TFL if you guys want to brainstorm that as well. We took our guys that have over 95 power moves or finesse moves, like 95 plus, and edited them down at the start of every season to 93, because that seems to be the threshold where they kind of get ridiculous. Right? And so I think in TFL at the time it was only maybe 6 players that actually got edited, 6 or 7.
So is this 7. Every offseason you guys stop and look in anybody that's at
you just go
93 or above 93, you take them down
above
to
95, and we take them to 93 so that if they upgrade they could still be 94.
So 95 is the threshold.
Yeah, it's the threshold. And we didn't do block shed, but we did finesse move, power move, and we're still going to have guys at 30, but we're gonna have no guys over 35 by the numbers that we got right now. This is our first season doing it, so we're still we recorded the numbers. We're just testing it. So far, it seems to be working. It's still sacks still up, but that was our solution to allowing lower guys without X factors still have an effect in the game, but also limiting what those X factors can do. So far, like I say, we got one guy on pace, I think, for 32 sacks, and then I think, a couple guys high 20s, but it's a big reduction from being Khalil Mack with 62 minus the game. So, that's what we did. We're still testing it, but just if you guys want to think about that as well, because
Rob, can I have you post that in the boardroom just to help us out?
And before I forget about it, part of the thing with Joey Bosa, and this is something EA actually made a patch, so no player ever gets the ability stacks that he has right now. He has finesse and edge threat.
Yeah.
So. Right. And those are both passive, so that's every single play. So if he's he's obviously finesse, and he's going to be on the edge every single play. That's part of the issue. That's why if you moved him out of position now and moved him back, he would get Fearmonger and one of those two. He wouldn't get both of them stacked at the same time. I think that's part of the issue. I don't know if you would want to look into that this offseason. But
we don't have ability to control abilities.
Well, if you move him to another position, then move him back, he won't get those two abilities again. That's the thing. EA actually realized it was OP and made it so you can't get those two stacked at the same time.
So you guys are going to see live how I think, because I'll give live reactions first. I've heard of this. I get nervous about picking on one guy because I think the argument, because I don't think Bosa's leading the lead right now. I'm all for it because I think it's kind of fair if EA said, hey, this was a problem that we created. We need to do something about it.
But it does feel like you're picking on one person.
I'm just picking on him, and the argument can be made, well, what about the 2 guys or 3 guys that are above Bosa? You're going to go do something about them? It's open for discussion.
Well, there's no one above Bosa this year, so.
Oh, is it? He's the leader right now?
He's at 54.0.
God, it's a lot. I think we can discuss it. I just, I don't know how I feel. It's such a catch-22 because I don't want to upset good board members and good owners, but man, that's a real issue. So maybe post both of those in the boardroom so that we can have some discussions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Bloop, yours was anyone that has 95 plus, move them to 93.
93, yeah. So that they could still grow if they get a role or whatever and still be a really good player. And they could even potentially get back to 95 for the season, but then we just bring them back down to 93. And that seems to be the threshold pretty much where, a guy is getting loose at almost every single, not every single one, but that seems to be our threshold for making 20 or 50 sack guys turn into 30 sack guys, or even worse. Like Khalil Mack went from 62. I think he's on pace for maybe 15 right now.
This is when, as a commissioner, I tick out and makes me want to just walk away from all this. Smash is in the chat right now. Smash, I got to be honest with you. This whole one extreme to the other drives me insane. No, it's just taking away XP doesn't. I don't know if you guys are reading the chat, but he's like, "Oh, we're going to take away the XP from players who are leading in sacks, so they can not have any sacks at all." That's impossible. If you're not hearing what Bloop is saying, the guys who are getting 60 sacks go down to 30. So, we're just trying to make it a little bit more realistic.
I'll say that enables us to have our pass block sliders low enough so that guys that are normal players are getting sacks. They're going to be able to get what we talk about is they're going to get 6 or 7 sacks instead of having 2 or whatever that they get right now.
I got to start ignoring this chat. I got to put my hand up and just block it because Smash, you're talking out of both sides of your face right now. And so look, at the end of the day, it's we're trying to balance out gameplay, and I think anyone who says that 54 sacks is okay, we're being we're
Well,
not
that's a
we're
good
not
career, right?
stopping
That's
and
what my
saying,
argument was like 54 sacks is a pretty
54
solid
sacks
career.
is a great team season.
the NFL record is 24, so even 30 is smashing the NFL record every single season. And I kind of expect some of that because this is where I believe that the video game doesn't correlate to the NFL. But like, yeah, 60 sacks, 50 sacks, like we're starting to. I don't think that any player should be getting 6 and 7 sacks a game. Like that just should not happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer, but I'm more than willing to test out some ideas. And if you've already got some tests, we're talking about 2XP Smash. Like if 2XP makes a guy feel like we're picking on his player, then maybe this place isn't going to be for them because that is.
You've had the Bears
not,
too long. If that like.
And like I say, if you can reduce your pass block sliders and get your entire team involved instead of just one guy, it almost makes no difference. But at least it's not one guy destroying like career numbers.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
top players, right?
Yeah,
here's my argument about all this is what you both said earlier is I think that here's where I get nervous about messing with XP and messing with I get nervous about all this because at the end of the game, we all have to play the same game we were handed. We didn't design the game. We're very limited on what we can and can't do. And so it's always like a little bit of where should we tweak? Where should we leave alone? I think we learned early on when we started the franchise that we were making way too many tweaks and messing with way too many things. But I think we got to look at all possibilities, right? We just need to look at it. And if there's evidence that, hey, if you just make this one minor adjustment, it'll make these numbers more realistic, I'm all for that. And that's somebody who's having a career season with Cam Jordan, who I think is like in the mid to high 20s or whatever. Like, I'm totally fine with editing everyone to where they all drop realistically and Cam goes from 28 to 15, 12, whatever. Like, just make them realistic and give people realistic time. Because I'm the same on the other side of I don't want to dumb it down so much where guys are sitting back and they have, 25 seconds to make a throw, right? I just think some of these numbers are so crazy. We got to look at the options. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to close on bloops, there's only 7 guys that would be impacted on power moves, and there's 9 guys that would be impacted.
And I'm guessing some of those are double. Some of those are probably the same guy.
Like Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack.
We're talking about 2XP. At the end of the day, we're talking about 2XP. I don't know. I don't see it as that big of a deal if it gives us normal stuff. And unfortunately, we all are playing the same game, and we got to figure this out. So I don't know. There's some people that are going to hate any changes that we make no matter what, but I don't think that anyone can argue that the gameplay, that both in the TFL, I've never played there, but I've had owners who tell me about that gameplay, but gameplay in both the TFL and OMFL is some of the purest football that you're going to find out there. And I think the reason that is because we're constantly looking at ways to make things better. And I don't like rules, much less making adjustments, but if it makes our league better, then I'm all for it. All right, let's put a bow on the show, get rid of my face here on the screen, and just show our website. Let's throw it over to you, Rob, and let you put a bow on the show from your end. You got 2 minutes. It's all yours.
I've said all that I should have said and more. I don't have much more to add. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I think that we've had a good season overall. There's a good amount of activity. I wish I'd put out more content. I've been trying to work on that lately. But overall, I like where we are. I think that we're headed in the right direction. I'm excited for the playoffs.
All right, Bloop, your turn. 2 minutes.
You mind if I plug my TFL Talk?
Go ahead.
All right, we're going to do a TFL Talk later today. I'm not sure on the time yet, but hopefully guys maybe want to come check it out. We're going to break down our division by division. We're about to be in week 8, so it's like our mid-season report kind of thing. We're going to have a bunch of guys on. Hopefully guys want to come tune in. And then quickly about my OMFL team, I'm so excited for the season to be over. This is the first this is the first losing season I've had in 6 years of Madden or something like that.
Welcome.
Yeah, And I don't mind losing, but it's just the way I lost. I had the 29th ranked defense. Usually I'm like a top 10, top 5 kind of defensive guy, and it's just been infuriating. So I'm excited to move on from that and hopefully have a lot better offseason and at least be good defensively, because there's nothing that frustrates me more than giving up like 400 yards a game.
Yep, I agree with you guys. I was typing this out. Let me finish this because I can't type and talk. I suck like that. I think ultimately we all want the same thing. We all want a really good league that's balanced and that we feel like is fair and that we all have an opportunity to build a team and get better at the sticks and all that stuff. I think ultimately that's why I'm the commissioner, right? And I got to make hard decisions sometimes, whether that's rules or changing rules or adjusting things. And I think, yeah, we got to at least have these discussions. And I think I've showed that even when I completely disagree with the board, if a majority of the board say one thing, I usually go with that one thing, unless it's something that I feel like is uber important. And I can't think of anything that has actually been like that. So all of these discussions are worth having. I can tell you right now, some of you are going to hate, with a capital HATE, hate, the thing that Penguins has been working on as an idea to control X factors. But at the end of the day, we got to look at it. X factors should be an elite of the elite. In my opinion, it should fall somewhere, between 50 and 60, maybe 70, maybe a hair higher. 75 is where I start to hit kind of my limit. And I think some leagues out there are seeing like 300 X factors in their league, or almost 200 X factors in their league. That's just, it's too much, right? That's where this starts to turn the corner and go from being this thing that everyone should try to get and trade for and having a player that can take over a game to where teams are having 8 X factors.
That's what the community cried about the dynamic dev progression system last year and people losing their abilities or losing their development traits, and this is what we got. Now we have 200 of them.
Yeah. So, look, overall, it's been a pretty good season. I will continue to tell the OMFL overall, we have lacked on content. The Deuce and the TFL and even the NBC has put out way more content. It's good to see some activity on Twitter, but at the end of the day, the reason we pay as much money and I put as much work into our website is to drive content there. So it's good to see some new OMFL content right there from the Steelers and Falcons, and I appreciate that. But I am challenging the rest of this community to step it up. We made incentives harder to earn to force more activity, and so I think guys are going to be shocked when they didn't earn what they needed to earn. And if I find out that guys are earning gold from just liking videos and Twitter follows and stuff, we're just going to make that stuff even harder. And so it just continues to tweak the system every time guys try to avoid the system. And the system was created so that guys would create content. So I'm looking at you guys to help do that. Also, go support the TFL. They're putting out some really great content. Let's support the TFL Talk. And I'm looking forward to the playoffs and getting some graphics done for the playoffs and hosting the OMFL Bowl 88 with some commentary. So you guys are also invited to come help me do some commentary on that game. It should be a ton of fun. So for Bloop and for Rob and all the board members here in the OMFL, thank you guys all so much for all the chat and the talk, the passionate back and forth that we've had. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. Passionate talk that we've had back and forth today. It's been a lot of fun. And until we see you next weekend when we're deep into the playoffs, who knows, maybe even finish with the playoffs. The way Bill cracks the whip around here, it should be a ton of fun. So, guys, have a blessed week. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, thanks for having us.